Okay, so a few weeks ago, I decided that instead of studying for my exam, I decided that I was just gonna watch the Game Awards. And I must say that I kind of feel a little disappointed from the lineup of games that they revealed. And I'm also a little disappointed about the grade that I got. So I guess we're all disappointed about things. From all the games that they've really revealed, I was only excited for two. The first was Resident Evil 9. Requiem, but I already knew that was coming. And from the leaks, I also already knew that Leon was coming. The other one was Control Resonant. I remember playing Control, and I was just so interested in the game, especially the world. It's like SCP, but in a game. But other than that, nothing that they really revealed really interests me because I kind of expected a huge game studio to announce a game. I know Kratos says keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed, but I didn't listen to him this time. Tomb Raider, I feel like it's always just been a mediocre franchise in my opinion. I know nothing about the new Star Wars game. Don't even get me started on High Guard being the final reveal. Like, are we serious right now? So this made me think about what my favorite game studios are currently doing. And as I looked through them, I realized that games feel like they take way too long to develop now. Alright, so to highlight this problem of mine, I'm gonna talk about three of my favorite studios. Starting off, Naughty Dog. I feel like they used to release games in a timely manner. Back in 2007, they released Uncharted 1, then Uncharted 2 in 2009, Uncharted 3 in 2011, then The Last of Us in 2013, The Left Behind DLC in 2014, Uncharted 4 in 2016, The Lost Legacy in 2017, and then finally, The Last of Us 2 in 2020. From this list, they basically released a game every 1 to 2 years, with the huge exception of The Last of Us 2, which took them around 3 years. Nowadays, Naughty Dog has not released anything in the past 5 years, unless you count all the Uncharted remasters and The Last of Us remasters. By the way, The Last of Us 2 did not need a remaster. It was already 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5, and I guess No Return is a cool mode, but it's not worth unless you have the game for the $10 upgrade. I don't know about you, but 5 years is a long ass time. 5 years ago, I was a sophomore in high school, and now I'm in my fourth year of pretty much college. Like, what the hell? We also have like no idea when their next game, Intergalactic, releases, and it was just teased a year ago. If I were to guess based on previous teasers, The Last of Us 2 was first teased in December of 2016 and released in March 2020. So going by that logic, Intergalactic is gonna release in 2028, which kind of sucks in my opinion. However, from the teaser, it seems like they already have a decent amount done, so I hope it releases in 2027. But that's just me being hopeful. Now, it might be selfish of me to want this, especially since Naughty Dog literally just had news of their crunch ending where employees were pretty much working like investment bankers or mappa animators. This makes me feel kind of conflicted since I obviously want human beings treated properly, but at the same time, Naughty Dog hasn't released a game in 7 years. I feel like it would be a lot more different if they actually just released their multiplayer game that they were working on. Like, does anybody remember that? Their canceled multiplayer The Last of Us game. But that doesn't change the fact that they haven't released anything new in damn near 5 years. And I'm kind of getting a little disappointed. Alright, so moving on to the next studio. We have Santa Monica Studios, the creators of God of War. If you had no idea, the God of War franchise is literally my favorite franchise of all time, right next to the Resident Evil franchise. So not knowing when we'll see Kratos and Boy again kind of hurts me a little bit. In the early days, Santa Monica would pump games out in like 2 or 3 years. God of War 1 released in 2005, then 2 in 2007, and then 3 in 2010, then Ascension in 2013. That game was kind of mid. And then there was a 5 year gap, and then God of War 2018 released. Then their most recent game, God of War Ragnarok, in 2022. Valhalla also came out in 2023, and that's a pretty solid free DLC. Free, by the way, which is crazy. But now we have absolutely had zero teasers for when the next Santa Monica game is gonna come out. So when God of War 2018 was first teased, it happened in 2016. And when God of War Ragnarok was first teased, it was in 2020. This shows that we get a game pretty much 2 years after it is first revealed, hoping for the best, and a teaser comes out next year, 2026. We're not getting a Santa Monica game until 2028, which is 6 years since God of War Ragnarok, by the way. I don't know about you, but that's way too long, in my opinion. Finally, and for the most obvious studio that I'm gonna talk about, it's obviously gonna be Rockstar Games.
Stop firing rockets at my house!
We all know the meme of things happening before GTA 6 comes out. And finally, it might get released in 2026. This makes it 13 years between GTA 5 and GTA 6, which is absolutely crazy. Well, now obviously that's a little unfair since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018. Rockstar was also releasing a bunch of GTA Online DLCs throughout the years. Oh, and we also can't forget about all the GTA 5 ports for the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, and probably the PlayStation 6 too, at this rate. Even after all that, Rockstar has not released a brand new game in 8 damn years. In 2018, I was a freshman in high school. Now I might graduate college before GTA 6 releases, which is really pissing me off. Like, you know how crazy that is? However, I do hope that all this development time is worth it, and I hope that I should be able to go into any building in GTA 6, because waiting 8 years for a game from Rockstar is absolutely outrageous. And if we keep going at this rate, their next game, I'm gonna be like 50 years old. All right, well, I was just complaining about how long video games are taking to release. Some games release way too often. While those studios I just mentioned, they haven't released a game in 6, 7, 8 years. All right, why did I say that? Some games just release way too often that their quality is just not good. Call of Duty literally just had so much backlash because Black Ops 7 released right after Black Ops 6. And Activision had to put out a statement that they won't release back to back games anymore. Well, back to back games from the same franchise. See, I love playing Call of Duty Zombies, and I feel like I always buy a Call of Duty with zombies in it. However, this time it's different because I decided not to buy Black Ops 7 even after all the great reviews about the zombies. I just feel so tired, specifically fatigued with the franchise. And that's what's going on with the game right now. Call of Duty fatigue. Oh, and don't even get me started on these sports games. FIFA, I mean, EA Sports FC 26 and NBA 2K literally release the same exact game every year. And it literally sucks. Yet people are just so addicted that people buy the game every year regardless of how bad it is. It's also not just these games. One of my favorite examples of games releasing way too fast is the Resident Evil 3 remake. Capcom literally released a Game of the Year contender with Resident Evil 2 remake, but then fumbled it next year because, oh, let's release Resident Evil 3 remake the next year because Resident Evil 2 remake, I don't fucking know what they were thinking. Like, why did they rush it that Resident Evil 3 remake is only like 4 hours long? Like, I heard that they cut out so much content from Resident Evil 3, the original. I've never actually played the original Resident Evil 3, that some people don't even want to call it a remake. When I also played RE3 remake, it just felt so short, and it really felt unseasoned compared to Resident Evil 2 remake. Kind of felt like a 4-hour DLC to Resident Evil 2 remake where you can dodge and Jill is the main character, but nah, it's its own standalone game. Okay, so while we're talking about Resident Evil, can we talk about Capcom? With the exception of Resident Evil 3 Remake, one of the studios that somewhat stands out to this problem is Capcom. Since the release of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, they released Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019, which was a Game of the Year nominee, Resident Evil 3 Remake in 2020, which sucks butt, we literally just talked about that, Resident Evil 8 in 2021, which also was a Game of the Year nominee, but it was also kind of a weak year, and I kind of thought it was okay. Resident Evil 4 remake in 2023, which is also another Game of the Year nominee. And finally, Resident Evil 9 in a month or two in 2026. Somehow, I don't know how they do it, but Capcom just releases banger after banger and at a decent time too. Except, Resident Evil 3 and Village was okay. I just feel that their development time is perfect. I feel like, damn, they release a Game of the Year nominee every what, like 2 or 3 years, which is absolutely insane. And I feel like they develop their games really efficiently, especially with the fact that they basically use the Resident Evil engine, and most of their games pretty much have similar gameplay. And there's also the fact that most of them are remakes, so they don't really have to think about anything new. I mean, they still create new stuff for the remakes. My point is, they just release bangers, bro. Like, what? That's insane. Well, you wanna know who else drops banger after banger? FromSoftware. If we literally start from 2015, they dropped Bloodborne, which is a Game of the Year nominee. Dark Souls 3 in 2016, which I feel should have been a nominee for Game of the Year. That game is literally so good. Sekiro in 2019, which won Game of the Year. Elden Ring in 2022, which also won Game of the Year. Then Shadow of the Earth 3 in 2024, which was a Game of the Year nominee. Night Rain in 2025. And then the Dustbloods in 2026. They also released Armored Core in 2023, but I only really care about their Souls games. Anyways, almost all of these games they've dropped are Game of the Year contenders, and some of them even won Game of the Year. The best part about it is that these titles don't even take long to release. The longest times we've had between games from FromSoftware was between Sekiro and Elden Ring. Sekiro released in 2019, and then Elden Ring released in 2022, and that was a 3 year gap. By the way, they both won Game of the Year. And Elden Ring literally changed everybody's perception on Souls games. So FromSoft, keep doing what you're doing, man. I love you so much. Now that I've talked about a bunch of game studios, how come some studios just release games too fast? Some studios release games way too late, and some studios just do it perfectly. So what is the sweet spot for release dates? In my opinion, I feel that the best length in between games is 3 to 4 years. Obviously, I'm not a video game developer. I don't know jack shit about video game development, but I believe that 3 to 4 years is perfect since it would feel like they took their time with their game. But it's also not long enough where I would start to lose interest in the company. Wink, wink, Naughty Dog. Because they haven't released anything in so damn long. However, not all games would work like that, and I guess I would prefer that a game take longer to develop and be a masterpiece compared to a game quickly developed and just be okay. Just look at Cyberpunk at release. But like mentioned earlier, RE3 remake, I really do not like what Capcom did with RE3 remake. But I'm really glad that they took their time with Resident Evil 4, because the OG Resident Evil 4, that was one of the first games I've ever played, and that's literally one of my favorite games of all time. Alright, to end the video, I just want to rethink about the problem that I'm talking about. So are they really a problem in the first place? If we really think about it, most people, like me, would be employed, go outside, and pretty much only have a little amount of time. Because these huge studios take so long to release, the spotlight is then shared to other games, which probably wouldn't be as big if developers release video games so frequently. Just take a look at GTA 6. How many developers are trying to change the release date because they don't want to get overlapped by GTA 6? So for a second, let's use my life for example. I'm a college student who's also working 2 to 3 days a week. Not only am I bounded by time, but games are also really expensive. And I just can't splash $70 on a brand new game every month, despite wanting the next Santa Monica game to release and being such a huge fan of their work. I've yet to even try out some games that are considered as masterpieces. Like recently, I've just played Dead Space. I'm currently playing Liza P. And I still have games such as Alan Wake 2, Cyberpunk 2077, the new Night Rain DLC, Silent Hill 2, Hogwarts Legacy, and many more games that are in my backlog. And those are just the games that I have that I haven't played. If we want to talk about games that I don't own but want to play, we also have the Ghost of Yote, Expedition 33, Baldur's Gate 3, Dispatch, Black Myth Wukong, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and there's so many more games I haven't even mentioned. But if I bought all those games, my pockets would literally die. So if we really think about it, they're not really a problem. Well, not really a problem if you have a job and go outside. But if you're financially free and have a lot of free time, which not a lot of us are, I guess it would be a problem. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, leave a like and maybe even subscribe while you're at it. I don't know. I don't really care. Thank you. Bye.